the instantaneous arrival of blizzard conditions.
Oftentimes it could be just a complete whiteout.
What was liquid on the road freeze over and ice over.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Since 2018, the National Weather Service has issued snow squall warnings, an impact-based wintertime warning designed to keep highway motorists safe. Now that the product exists and has been issued a lot, the focus has turned to educating the public on what snow squalls truly are and how to keep you out of harm's way.
We think of snow squalls as essentially very brief, intense blizzards, so short-lived on the order of 30 minutes or so. So think of visibility drastically reducing, maybe to a quarter mile or zero in some cases, gusty winds. And then along with those on highways, we have what's called a flash freeze that can occur as we see a rush of cold air come in behind a snow squall, produce a sheet of ice on the roadways.
And the combination of reduced visibility, some gusty winds, and that slick roadway can cause pileups in a matter of seconds. You go from a sunny day where nothing's really happening, and then 30 seconds later, you're suddenly unable to stop, and we get these chain reaction pileups that frequently occur in Pennsylvania.
So how do they form? The development of snow squalls is essentially the cold season counterpart to summer convection.
The main thing that we need for a snow squall is instability in the atmosphere. It's not too different from a thunderstorm you might get in the summertime, but it's the anomalously cold temperatures aloft in the atmosphere that move in, and it can come after a stretch of warm weather.
And these things can occur probably realistically from October into April. You just need temperatures below freezing.
Anytime we're dealing with snow, people get hung up and focused on the numbers, the snow amounts. Snow squalls are probably the most life-threatening way that we get snow, and the numbers, the amounts, really don't have anything to do with it.
You know, going back to the 90s when the Weather Service modernized, typically impact was discussed in terms of amount of snow. And so we started to see, especially on Interstate 80 in central Pennsylvania, where we'd get these heavy bursts of snow squalls, and the amounts would be less than an inch, but you get basically blizzard conditions in a very short period of time, and the impact from those just completely out of line with what you'd expect given the amounts.
Greg then became part of a multi-decade push to help combat this problem, culminating with the revolutionary snow squall warning.
When a forecaster issues a snow squall warning, we can target right in on the snow squall itself. We draw a polygon around that object and draw it in the way that the snow squall is moving. So they're very much like a severe thunderstorm warning you might receive in the summertime. They typically are valid for about 30 minutes to maybe up to an hour.
So the significant tag on these snow squall warnings is what's going to set off your phones, the wireless emergency alerts, and hone motorists into that right away. So as long as you're opted into those on your cell phone, they're going to alert over based on which cell phone tower that your phone's picking up off of. If you get one of these on your phone, you know that you're either in harm's way at that point or very close to it or about to get into it.
It is important to point out that if you will be doing any overnight driving this winter, these wireless emergency alerts will not go off.
Most of these happen during the day, but say we have one coming through at 2:30 in the morning. We don't want to alert everyone, wake them up as they're in bed with their cell phones going off. Still, our transportation partners, PennDOT and the Turnpike Commission, they'll highlight the digital messaging signs to warn of the hazard.
So when one of these goes out, if you have not gotten on the highway already, even if you're just leaving your neighborhood, hey, either stop where you're at or go back to your house and just sit tight for a little bit, because if you're in a snow squall warning, we think, hey, there's a fairly high probability that if you drive through that, there could be problems, and so we encourage you to just stay home, delay travel, make additional travel plans. Whatever you do, do not get on that highway because you're not sure what the conditions are going to be like, and there could be big problems in a matter of a very short amount of time.
If you get a snow squall warning and are already on the highway, make every effort to get off of it as fast as you can, because once you enter the squall,
you immediately have conditions where the driver can't see, the driver can't stop, and no vehicles around the driver can see or stop either, and it's tremendously dangerous.
And if you ever find yourself caught in a pileup, which can sometimes be inevitable,
first and foremost, if your car can still be driven, we encourage you to drive slowly to the front of the pileup so that you can sort of spread out that distance. You don't want to be at the back because all sorts of cars could continue to plow in. Usually in an accident, you're told to get out of your car and stand next to it. Do not do that in a snow squall. We want you to either get off the road if you can do so safely and get as far away from the road as possible. If you can't do that, stay seated inside your vehicle with your seatbelt on, because your car will likely provide the most safety net around you to prevent from getting hit by other vehicles. Again, we want to drive home the point. There's no safe place on a highway during a snow squall. If you can avoid it, please do so.
One recent harrowing occurrence was in March 2022. An anomalously warm early spring air mass, complete with highs in the 60s and 70s, was being abruptly replaced by a record cold air mass for the time of year. And chaos ensued along Interstate 81 in Schuylkill County.
That was all we needed to get some instability and some snow showers to develop in that. And despite the road surfaces being warm just a few days prior, these snow squalls dumped enough heavy snow in a short period of time to make those road surface temperatures drop all the way below freezing and still get that flash freeze.
That allowed people who were, not prepared or not thinking about winter and now suddenly driving into it, especially people who maybe were out of town or from Pennsylvania, and that was a recipe for disaster.
Everyone can help in the National Weather Service's Snow Squall Safety Campaign this year.
If anybody sees any snow squall safety campaign messages on social media that the Weather Service might be sharing, please share those as well to your family and your friends, and just repost them, because we really want to get this message out to as many people as possible, even if they don't live in Pennsylvania. People might be traveling from across the country, visiting loved ones in Pennsylvania, and we want to make sure that they're safe and aware of what a snow squall is as well.
And be sure to always remember,
there's no safe place on a highway during a snow squall.
There's no safe place on a highway during a snow squall.
For Weather World, I'm Ben Reppert.